And we're recording it right now. My bad.
Fabulous.
My bad. Truth Bomb Tuesday. And this is on political correctness. Jessica and we've been doing some lives on Truth Bomb Tuesday, and we've been going back and forth because we're a little raw, right? And it enters our minds that we're like, okay, are we being politically correct or not? And one of the things that we've come to the conclusion of is we're really trying to be authentic. We want to be real, but sometimes, that does cause us to be not politically correct. And we want to be able to help people in a very unique way. You want to share what came to your heart about political correctness. And
Yeah, definitely. So when Todd and I were kicking around this topic, I was like, "Whoa, we should go there." And then I was like, "I don't know, should we? People are pretty fired up about this right now." And the thing that came to my heart was that I think that political correctness had really good intention. Like, don't be a dick and don't intentionally discriminate because it's wrong. And I think we can universally agree on that point. But there's also that quote that says, the path to hell is paved with good intentions. And I think that this is where political correctness is headed, because it's really destroying the ability for people to voice an authentic opinion at the expense of offending somebody else. And it's also robbing people the ability to be offended and learn to cope with that big emotion in a way where a mutual solution can be created. Instead, we're just tiptoeing around these big emotions, right?
yeah. It's funny. I did a little research on this, and I saw something when I Googled. And when they termed the word politically correct, it's there was a title. It says a phrase that has gone from wisdom to weapon. Pretty interesting.
Oh man, talk about a truth bomb. Damn. Ouch.
Yeah, and we're not here to be rude or obnoxious, even though we like it and it's sometimes fun. But one of the things that somebody told me about this, and it's so funny, and I could throw some political correctness that gets me all in a tizzy, but when I get fired up about something where I feel offended, it's like there's something deep in me that I gotta look at. I have to look at. And sometimes we're not, if it's being rude or disrespectful to somebody, that's not cool. Obviously you don't want to do that, but when you're talking about a topic that may be sensitive, I sometimes feel like being authentic would be better served. And if we're getting offended and it hits that spot, maybe that's something we need to look at in ourselves. Would you agree, Jess?
I wouldn't say maybe, I would say 100%. And here's the thing, like, I'm a very blunt person, but I'm also a person full of love. And I don't say anything out of intention to hurt people's feelings. I say it knowing that it might hurt their feelings because I am blunt. But here's the thing. Number one, I value my authenticity enough to be able to speak my truth as I see it. And I love and respect you enough to tell you my truth and to support you in feeling the big feelings. And I respect you enough to open conversation to an opposing viewpoint. And knowing that our opposing viewpoints may not come to a solution, we may agree to disagree and love each other, unconditionally anyway. But again, like, with anybody in my life, with my friendships, with my children, with my husband, with my clients, like, unconditional love is something that just flows from me. And so I say things out of unconditional love, and I may say them bluntly because I love you enough to share that truth with you and to open that conversation. And just the same way that if I was out of line in some way, and I had a friend or family member that needed to, like, be a little blunt with me, knowing that it might offend me, I want them to love me enough to be able to tell me their truth as they see it. And I think that the whole topic of political correctness is really damaging the ability for people to have that level of relationship, and it's really harmful.
I completely agree with what you're saying. It's almost too, let's break it down in a real simple format. If you had some broccoli in your teeth, right? Would you want
Mm,
somebody to say, hey,
mm.
there's something going on in here, right?
No, Todd, I would want you to straight up say, dude, you got broccoli in your teeth. You better fix that because it looks ridiculous. And I love you enough to tell you I'm not going to beat around that bush.
Exactly.
Give it to me straight, man. I'm going to be like embarrassed and my pride's going to be hurt for a second, but I'm going to really value the fact that you told me the truth and you were straight up about it.
And it's funny because, you know, you and I are pretty similar. That's why we're doing a lot of this. It's like I go to my girlfriend because I throw it out there, you know, I'm pretty blunt too. And I
Mm-hmm.
go, sometimes I'll look to her, I go, was I a little too much there? Like I need to check. She goes, no, people, I appreciate that you're real because they know where you stand, right? Like, so I'm like going, I'm like, all right, cool.
Yep. Yep.
You know, and sometimes my bluntness humble. Let's flip it on the other side. It could humble me. I've had those experiences. I'm like, oh man. But for the most part,
Mm-hmm.
you know, when we're talking, you know, our Truth Bomb Tuesdays, we'll probably won't be politically correct. Not, and I'm going to take probably out. We are not going to be politically correct. And
Mm-mm.
I
Mm-mm.
was just a sidebar. I was doing some research on this political correct thing, and this came up, and this one irritated me. And I don't know if you've ever heard of this one, but they brought up where people are having mixed debates of whether or not a manhole cover should include the word man. And that's where the stuff that starts to really kind of I'm like, listen, it's a manhole cover. A manhole cover is a manhole cover. It's not a woman hole cover. It's not a penis cover.
I
It's
think we're
a
talking about two different
manhole.
things. Like manhole covers and woman hole. Oh boy, here we go.
But you know what I'm saying, though? Like, that's where we have gone. I'm using this as, you know what I mean?
Yep.
We're
Yep.
not teaching things in our school systems because we're not politically correct anymore, but we're missing what the truth is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, we're missing the point. We're missing the point of allowing people to be offended, supporting them in being offended, and allowing them to work it out in a way that is positive and creates inner peace. Because you can't control what they're going to call the freaking cover of the hole, but you can control how you react to it. And if your reaction is becoming offended, then that's a trigger for you that you need to dig into, and you need to figure out why it's so offensive. And if we're not allowed to have that conversation, then what the hell is the point?
Exactly. You know, and we get sensitive, we were talking about this before. Is I had some mentors in my life, and they said this. They said a couple things. Sometimes the truth hurts, and it needs to. So I
Yep.
could see that, right?
Yep.
And I've also heard this comment before, and I don't know if you've ever heard this. The truth will set you free, right? But it might hurt right up front. It'll hit you a little bit, but it might set you right.
I think you're absolutely right. Like, it will hurt because those deep truths that you know are in there are painful. They trigger you. They're wrapped in context and ideas and thoughts and emotion, and that is painful. It's painful, right? But again, as coaches, we love you enough to rip that Band-Aid off and to support you in healing that wound. And by tippy-toeing around it under the guise of political correctness is not doing you any justice, right? It's not.
Not at all. Not at
Mm-mm.
all.
Mm-mm.
And you know, as transformational lifestyle coaches that we are, we're here, you know, to respect differences. You know,
Mhm.
we're not
Mhm.
here taking any political parties, even though term political correctness, we're not a stand on anything, whether we agree or disagree. We're
Mm-mm.
here because we want to help you get what you want and achieve the results that you want. And there might be a blind spot. We have blind
Yep.
spots, right?
Yep. Yep.
And we're going to help you see. But we wanted to start our kind of official Truth Bomb Tuesday. It's going to be on a YouTube channel, just so you know. We're going to have some fun with this, so you could go back and just have a blast. And comment below, private message us, any ideas. We've got a whole slew of them that we're going to have fun with. Any last words, Jessica, on political correctness?
Well, you did say one thing that I don't agree with, and that was that we don't take a stand for anything. And I disagree with you. We take a stand for helping people get what they want. And we are willing to tell you the truth bomb of the situation if it's going to help you get what you want.
Boom. I stand
Boom.
corrected. I love it. Real in the wrong. And you're right. We do. We fight for your truth and for what's important for you. And we'll make a stand for your growth. So anyway, awesome Truth Bomb Tuesday. Comment below at anything and reach out, and you have an awesome Truth Bomb Tuesday.